Welcome back to the Snow Point cast. So today we got another 2014 States versus matchup. Today it's going to be between Trevor Read and myself. I'm on the right playing Virizion Genesect in the pink sleeves, and then Trevor's going to be playing Dark Garb. So yeah, pretty decent matchup. One of the definitely more fun ones of the day. I really like this matchup. So Virizion Genesect plays some stuff that counters Dark and vice versa. Like Dark playing Garbodor shuts off a lot of Virizion Genesect, but Verdant Wind is a big hit against, like, you play 4 Hypnotoxic Lasers in Dark, so Verdant Wind, which is Virizion's ability, is kind of a big deal. So we flip. Trevor's going to start a Baby Yveltal, and I'm going to start 2 Virizion. Yeah, so definitely a decent start. Oh, Trevor's going to drop an Absol and a Darkrai too. Definitely a decent start. Gets a Dark attach on that Yveltal. So yeah, top another Virizion, don't really need that. I do have a Sky Arrow. I'm gonna drop the Sky Arrow and Juniper. Yeah, having the grass on there is really nice because you don't have to worry about sleep or poison as soon as you have that grass attached. And, you know, I could have retreated to the fresh one, but the issue with that is one of a couple things. So I can take the 30 or even the 50 here with the Virizion, but the issue with promoting the fresh one with no energy on it is, oh, that is such a rough. 2 Dark Patch, a DCE, a Garbodor. That sucks. No wonder he didn't do that turn 1. He's kind of waiting for an N, I guess. But yeah, so anyway, I kept the Virizion on the active because the grass energy prevents him from lasering me because of Verdant Wind. So if I were to retreat to the one with no energy, his lasers would have been live, which could put me in a really tricky position, because if I retreat to the one with no energy, he can bump the stadium, and then now I need an energy switch and an energy, or if he lasers me because I don't have any energy, I could just flip tails on the sleep, and then that could be really rough as well. It forces you to hit. The only out is energy switch and an energy, instead of just being able to hit a Sky Arrow to retreat. So, you know, it could be argued that retreating into the blank one was better, but I like keeping this one. I mean, I'd rather take 30 or 50 just to guarantee the turn 2 Emerald Slash than maybe miss it. If you miss turn 2 Emerald Slash, that sucks pretty bad. So yeah, Trevor hits me for 30, and he starts charging up that Yveltal. He got a DCE on there, and then he accelerates a Dark. So yeah, that's probably your biggest threat as Virizion Genesect in this matchup, is a big Yveltal. Because as soon as they start getting like 2 DCEs and a Dark, or like 2 Darks and a DCE and a Muscle Band, they're hitting for like base 120 damage. And then with Genesect, that's a one-shot. If the Genesect never comes up. So base 120 plus 60 with the energy Genesect has, you're able to hit the Virizion for a knockout if you hit like Garbodor or Laser Bank, and then next turn if they can't find a G booster, you just kill them again. So that's probably your biggest threat. I Skyla for an Ultra Ball here to get a Genesect. You know, Emerald Slash onto another Virizion would have been okay, would have been all right, but definitely preferable to get this Genesect out here, because as soon as that Yveltal, a Yveltal with 3 energy on it is really threatening. You can do a lot of that early. So you touch another DC, you touch a Muscle Band, like there's so much you can do. He discarded 2 of his Darks, so I'm not that afraid, but definitely hitting the 2 energy on the Genesect. It means I get to red signal it if I'm able to hit a G booster turn next turn as well, and just take it out of play before it's even a concern. But 2 on the Genesect. To Trevor. Maybe Yveltal is so good. Being able to take 130 HP before you get on is really good. Ooh, a Dowsing and discarding a Dark. That's good. Gets a patch. That makes a lot of sense. There is a lot of damage coming my way here in a second. So Yveltal's Evolve does 20 plus 20 for each energy attached. Not energy card, so double colorless adds 40. 20, 40, 60, 80, 100. 100. 40, and then with the 30 from before, I'm getting knocked out. And see, if I wouldn't have made that misplay of not retreating, I would have had 30 less damage, and it would have forced Trevor to hit another 2 energies here. He would have had to have the DCE in his hand to knock out, and that's also a lot of resources to commit to the active. Like if he's committing 2 dark energies, a dowsing machine for a patch, and 2 double colorless on that Yveltal, which could just get G boosted next turn. could be quite bad. And he had the energy anyway, so I mean, it's not that big of a deal. He probably would have still hit the knockout. It would probably got something else, but yeah, he takes the knockout there. Raw, and I don't remember if at this point I have a G booster in my hand. I do have it in my hand, yeah. So I'm chilling fat right now. Definitely just take it out. I have the colors, but I don't really need to play it that turn because I think I have a energy switch in my hand as well. So I hold the energy switch because next turn I can just go retreat, energy switch, and then E-slash again. So it's I would have liked to have more cards in my hand, but a colors only nets me 5, and guaranteed having that energy switch in the hand is much more valuable than having a fresh hand, because all I really want next turn is an energy switch and an energy. Chilling. Yeah, this Darkrai list doesn't play Tool Scrapper, so there's no way for that G booster to get removed, which is kind of nice. And I feel like a lot of Darkrai Garb lists in the day didn't play Tool Scrapper. There wasn't a real massive need for it. Like, if you're versus other Garb decks, you don't really care. And the only tool you really want to discard is G booster. And there's just other cards that you can play to make this matchup better. So what? It's just like kind of niche and not that useful. So it's not a very common played card in Dark List back in the day. Yeah, Trevor's chilling pretty fat, but with my hand, I'm chilling as well. Like, we both have decent board states. He's gonna be forced into a junk hunt here. I don't fully remember, but I'm pretty sure I have the N to counteract that. Okay, so he hits the Sky Arrow, so it forces me into having a Sky Arrow next turn, which is not amazing. Oh, I got it in my hand anyway. Whatever. I'm a god. I'll just hit that. It's fine. I already have it. I remember like my first couple hands when I was playing was pretty good with Genesect. Virizion is an interesting deck because if you can just constantly start Virizion or outs to Virizion and then hit energy and benched attackers, the deck just does so well. It got first and second at Worlds this year for a reason, and like it's just so consistent. The 2/2 Roserade La Parfume is also like very, very consistent. It lets you search any card in your deck. So you're adding the consistency of like just playing 4 of cards, like 4 Virizion and 10 grass that you can be consistent and start with it. But you also just play the Roserade line just so you can always be able to be consistent as well. And this is an interesting Sigilif play. So this list plays a 1-off Sigilif, and they're for a couple situations. And one of them is situations like this where I don't really have a good like guaranteed board state right now. Like, I want to hit an energy switch off of this N, but it's an N to 4. So like, judging how thick my deck is, it's unlikely. And yeah, you see we missed there. So it's great that I got the Sigilif. It's a safe play. You get to retreat to it. At least I got the attach this turn on the Virizion. It means next turn I can attach with it. And even if he's able to hit the KO with Absol this turn, he's used 2 dark patches, but even if he hits the KO with Absol, it's not a big deal because you only play one of the non EX attackers other than Roserade. So the Sigilif can die and then you can still lose 3 EXs total in a game. So it's really not that big of a deal. But stalling for a turn is really good as well because, you know, I got to end his junk hunt away, so he's losing a little bit of consistency there. He has it in the deck, but he's hoping to draw, and he didn't hit it off that end because he didn't really play any cards. And I'm just attaching energy. The more energy you get on with Virizion Genesect, the easier it is to come out of nowhere all of a sudden. If you're just able to drop energies, drop plasma energy, G-boost things that they've been attaching onto, like there's a DCE on that Yveltal, that is a juicy target right now. Like, if you have an energy switch and a plasma energy off of this N, if you're the Virizion Genesect player, you probably kill the Yveltal, because that's the only thing that's really threatening your board right now. They can pop off out of nowhere with like dark patches and stuff like that, and lasers and Garbodors. Like, if they pop off on you, they can do a ton of damage. But if you're just consistent and you keep attaching energies, you're chill. Trevor's thinking on what to go for the junk hunt here. Junk. And junk hunt's great attack. Search for 2 item cards from your discard pile. Really consistent. If you're struggling in the middle of a game, you can get a random receiver and a dark patch, and all of a sudden you're getting more energy and a supporter back on board. But yeah, junk hunt's got played pretty much from when card got rotated. So I hit the muscle too, so I'm able to kill this Sableye. That's really hot. I mean, I'll still have to kill one other non-EX Pokemon, but that Yveltal has damage, and honestly, killing the Trubbish could be really good at some point too, because you kill the Sableye, you kill the Yveltal, and then you're able to kill that Trubbish with 70 HP. He doesn't have the Garbodor. That you can kill that with a Emerald Slash with the Muscle Band. So it's definitely the right play for Trevor because Trevor wants to hit a Garbodor. But if he's not able to hit that Garbodor, it's kind of a liability. And so yeah, I have 1 on the Sigilif, which is even better because it means if I need to stall and if I whiff a Plasma Energy later, I just get to chill with the Sigilif active. It's actually a really good card in the list. I like 1 Sigilif a lot because the deck really good and it's really consistent, but you're relying on that consistency, and if you whiff, taking the damage on your active Pokemon sucks a lot. So having able to throw something in the active and not worry about it is. It's the Roselia too. It's so good because early game it can net you grasses, and then like late game, I'm putting it down because, and the reason I was like thinking about it is because I was kind of worried about the Absol. Absol with a full combo can Oko you. So if you have a full bench and then they go Muscle Band, Laser Bank, they hit you for 170. Really bad when you're this deck. So I was kind of suspect of benching it, but like 1 is fine. The second bench here at any cost when they have an Absol, I think is a bench. You're just trading really favorably. So it's good to keep your bench to 4 if you're playing against a list with an Absol and most dark lists. Okay, so he puts up the Yveltal. That play. Yeah, so he's just chilling here. And like I put that Roselia down last turn, so this Yveltal is starting to get really threatening. It's 1 energy away from a knockout, or a Muscle Band away from a knockout on the or the Genesect rather, sorry. And the Dark List plays 2 catchers, so you know, he junk hunted for a Dowsing Machine earlier as well, so he has that and 2 catchers in deck. So there's a very distinct possibility that he could be killing this Genesect. That's the biggest threat that I can see on his board. And if I have a Plasma Energy next turn at all, that's 100% the target. Because then you go Plasma Energy, discard 2. Now I'm down to 1 prize, and whatever you put up, I can just attach an energy and G boost it. So it really doesn't matter what you, or even an energy switch. I don't even have to have another. I do drop that 5th Genesect because at this point it doesn't really matter. If he brings up the Absol, the KO, at that point I hopefully will have already had a knockout on the Yveltal, and then if I play this conservatively and put the grass on the new Genesect, it doesn't matter what he puts up because no matter what, if I get the KO this turn, I'm chilling for next. Honestly, I hope I have some E-switches, because what you really want is you want to E-switch onto the other Genesect. But yeah, I just take the 1 KO. I have no grass in deck, so that kind of sucks. But in that case, I actually think the Genesect, I think I just drew the grasses out of my deck. But yeah, benching the Genesect in that case was actually a misplay as well. You know, Trevor and I, we play every once in a while, but we don't play crazy often. So when you're not in the headspace of Pokemon, it's definitely easy to make a misplay if you're not paying complete attention. And it wouldn't have been a misplay if I got grasses on there, but it definitely was a misplay. You know, should have known better drawing 7 of the deck and having, I think I had like 1 grass in my hand, but even 1. Because then you can get an E-switch red signal. And yeah, I don't really care if he puts the Yveltal at this point because I have a G booster. He needs to hit a catcher heads. Then I'm in trouble. Trevor isn't able to. Then I'm. There's actually 2 ways that Trevor can win this as well. So if he gets catcher heads, Evil Ball, the Genesect into. I'm not going to be doing that. He's retreating this Garbodor. But if he had the catcher, he could have gone catcher heads into KO energy, KO on the Genesect. He doesn't even need it. KO on the Genesect, and then if you get another catcher heads, you just catcher KO the dark, or catcher KO the dark, or the Jirachi, and kill it with a Darkrai, or doesn't matter. Yeah, that kind of a big liability. And I hit the La Parfum. It doesn't really matter. But the La Parfum is just like, there's a scary thing on the board. I'm just gonna get a Plasma Energy and take that out. Virizion in hand. I always love to see that. When you start a Virizion in this deck, ooh, so hot. There's not a better feeling than seeing a Virizion and a Grass Energy in your hand. Sucks so bad. And he'll be able to retreat it, but just having it on the board in most matchups, it doesn't really matter because in this format, the only catchers were catcher on a flip and red signal. Those are the only two like Lysander or Gust effects in the format. And so when you started Jirachi against this deck, it just means that as soon as they get a Genesect up, they get 2 prizes for. Sometimes, at least if you Stellar Guidance for a supporter that keeps you in the game, it's doing something. But this is not the matchup. I'm gonna keep it for now, keeping the active. There's no reason for it to retreat it yet. You don't want to put any damage on the Trubbish or damage on the Evoldo. Even if I have a tool script. Good early draw, but also being able to force your opponent to go down to 1 card in the late game, especially when they like are short resources, it can be. Also feels really bad when your opponent tops a Juniper off of a N to 1, but sometimes N is like your only option of no ways to win the game unless you can end them and they don't hit it out to have. Getting that 30 damage on with the laser is actually kind of a big deal. It just means that, especially with the muscle band, if Trevor's able to get Y Cyclone off, if he hits Garbodor, Tool, another laser, and a double colorless energy, he gets to kill the Virizion and keep the energy safe. Probably would honestly just Evo Ball at that point. Keep the energy on that active, but yeah, being able to put the Virizion at 30 is big because hitting 140 when you're dark is very possible. Like you can hit Absol, and even if they don't max their bench, you can hit 140. But like hitting 170, you have to hit like a wombo combo to go. Y Cyclone with a muscle band and a laser, then you do 140, and then they hit a Tails in the sleep fit. Then it goes 30 back to you, which is actually great because it forces them to promote something so that you can just they die from the poison back to you, and then you're like, well, I don't want to kill that anyway because it's almost dead. It dies, and then they promote something fresh for you to hit, which is actually it feels so bad when you hit the Tails flip going. But that's why Garbodor is such an important card in this matchup. Is you can't hit that combo unless you have a Garbodor up. I hit the Roserade, hit the Genesect. This is a pretty decent turn 1 for me. I would have preferred to hit the Stadium Bump or a Tool Scrapper, but neither of that really happened. And honestly, Tool Scrapping the float, even if I had a Tool Scrapper, I don't think I would play it at this point because you only play 2 and you really need them to get your abilities back when they get a Garbodor online. So having the float there is not a... You'd rather have him retreat than worry about keeping your Tool Scrappers in the late game, because when you have 2, you can just draw into them decently consistently, especially when you're getting like N to 4 and N to 2, like something. Pretty much just waste 1 on a Float Stone on a Jirachi early. I don't know. That's just kind of bad play for me. That's liberal use of your resources when you could have been conservative. And conservative is so good because it just means that you keep them as you thin your deck. So your deck gets thinner and you have resources that you want. And then, especially in a format like this where N is played, you get End, and you're like, well, I did a really good job thinning, and I didn't play the resources that I really need now. And so I'm more likely to draw those. And you don't get punished for being a bad player if you do that. Trevor's dropping Fat Tool. He has 1 tool left. He has 1 muscle band. No float stones left. So as soon as I'm able to hit a scrapper, there's no reason not to scrapper here because he's got 1 tool left. So unless he has a dowsing machine or he decides to junk hunt, I'm gonna ditch both of the tools on the Trubbish so that no matter what, he has to find a fresh tool to get the Garbodor. This is a situation where he's used so many tools it's like fine because he was going to Juniper them away and he needed to bike as well. But it's a situation where your opponent used a lot of tools and you don't really have a point to not use your tool scrapper now because they've dedicated so many resources to the board that you're just taking out resources from the board, and it's less likely that they draw them out of deck than just have them on. I'm getting hit here, not for a knockout though, so that's blessed. If I was getting knocked out here, that would have felt really bad. It can happen so quickly, especially with double colorless energy, ultra ball, double dark patch. There's so many ways Yveltal can just pop off. And Trevor's thinking here whether he wants to Y Cyclone or hit me for an Evil Ball. Yeah, decides to go for the Evil Ball. I think that's fine. I think that's good because it lets him sets up for a couple of things. So being at 150 is good because it means he can get a pound KO with Trubbish. Trubbish for a DCE has pound. So I do have that tool scrapper, and I may as well discard those tools. So yeah, if he has a DCE, he can hit pound. If he hits a dark energy and a dark patch, he can kill with Absol as well. Or if he hits a Darkrai, catcher heads, what he really would like to do is go Night Spear on the Jirachi, and then 30 to the Virizion. Because setting it up for 30 lets you do a lot of things. I'm pretty sure I get pound KO'd here. Because Trevor... yeah, Trevor's a funny guy. He sees like every play that is out there. He's such a good player of Pokemon. Him and Chase both, they think every play through, not like, oh, what do I need this turn? They like look at all their options and they're like, oh, I'm gonna pick this because my train of thought may not have been correct, but now that I see this card, it would be better. And I think you should be doing all of your deck searches like that. Like even if you know that you need something, like let's say turn 2, I'm gonna letter for a grass for a Virizion so that I can Emerald Slash. Just because that's the right play doesn't mean you shouldn't look at all your options, because there might be a better option. Like maybe depending on your hand, if you have a Sigilif in your hand, like not putting that Virizion up yet, depending on what your hand is like. If you have no other supporters and you have a Genesect, you could hit into something that's not an EX and then have that die and then have the EX come up, and the EX comes up and gets wrecked by Yveltal. But if you, let's say you Skyla for a Skyarrow and then you Skyarrow back and don't attack even when you really want to, and they bring the Yveltal up, there's just like situations where it's like not every, oh, and I do get pounded here, but there are situations where it's like not every thing that you think is the right call is always the right call, and it depends on what resources are available in your deck and what the board is and what your hand is and so many things. But yeah, so I hit the Skyarrow and I get pounded. This is really bad. I really hope to hit a Plasma Energy here. 70 on the Yveltal means that I can, oh yeah, so I Shadow Tribe for the Plasma, Red Signal the Yveltal. I'm able to kill it this turn. That's really good. It means that I'm not in threat of getting a knockout next turn from Evil Ball. Evil Ball's so scary because they can just load it up so quickly with Dark Patches and Double Colorless. You can get a knockout out of nowhere. And lasers too. If they have a Trubbish, they just go Tool, Laser, Burbank, and all of a sudden you're taking massive damage. Yeah, board's pretty even right now. He's taken out one Virizion, but I'm a little bit ahead in the attachments department. Trevor had to attach a DCE to that Trubbish, so that's really not where you want to be attaching at all. But I mean, he got the pound KO, so I guess it was worth. But definitely not. You can't do anything once it's there. Like once you have a double colorless energy there, it's trapped. At least if it's on a Yveltal or Darkrai, you can attack with it. But I don't think he's really going to be pound at all. Kind of funny that happened. Such a like niche thing that never happens, and just the odds that it happened in this game are, I don't know. So he hits catcher heads on the Jirachi. That's really good. He needs Dark Patch DCE. He might have that in his hand. Just hit the Y Cyclone, take the Jirachi out. I think he might be short. Yeah, he Junipers. I don't entirely remember, but I'm pretty sure he misses D. Talked about the odds on it. There was 2 on the board that had gone away, and he had a deck of 20. So the odds were less than 50 that he would hit it, but still very possible for you to hit. If you would have had that DC, he would have slapped it down and retreated, definitely. But it's really nice for me that he missed the DCE, because I'm not getting fresh knocked out. That would have made the game a much tighter game, especially because it would have forced me to hit G Booster. If I didn't hit G Booster that turn to knock out the Yveltal, he would have just slapped on a DCE maybe next turn. Would have been him missing the DCE here is very big, especially when he's not going to be killing the Jirachi. Needed a Verbank City as well to kill the Jirachis. It's tough. Sometimes you just don't hit the cards you need. That's the really fun part about Pokemon. You're actually playing the game. Sometimes the game wrecks you from. Oh, but he does hit the Verbank. Yeah, he's got a Dowsing Machine, so he hits the Verbank here. Kind of nice. At least he's gonna take 2 prizes. In an okay boards. Would have gone down 4 prizes against Virizion Genesect. That's a pretty bad spot. You definitely. It's possible to come back because not a position. He hits a Verbank with a Dowsing Machine. Falls for 90, which is 60 in them. Yes, I'll play from Trevor. He's still missing a tool on that Garbodor. Like I said, he dropped a lot early, so he has to put a Muscle Bend on there if he ever wants to shut off my abilities. So I still have access to La Parfum. La Parfum for G-Booster at this point would have been good. I still have access to Verdant Wind, so I'm not getting lasered. I'm chilling pretty hard here. The fact that he had to drop those tools to draw with Bike is kind of unfortunate because tools are a pretty important resource that you want to keep in this matchup, but also sometimes you really need to draw cards. Like Trevor's only at the point that he is at now because he was able to play the cards that he drew. So it never is fun to see the cards go that you. Got a pretty good hand here. An E-switch, so which means if I do hit the G-booster this turn, I'm able to E-switch letter and then do it again next turn. There's a lot of stuff in my hand I can. I'm thinking about benching this Roselia to. Really concerned about again is Absol. You never know at this point in the game if you might have to bench a Jirachi. I think that's definitely the correct play, but I go like E-switch because I don't have an out to the E-booster. I could have an N in my hand as well. Yeah, I do have an N. And I play it so that I can hopefully hit the G-booster. I don't think I actually should have retreated. Well, because the E-switch happened, you kind of have to commit to that play at this point. You're retreating, and if you're E-switching the energy to the Virizion, this is the safe play, the conservative play. If I would have hit a La Parfum or a G-booster off of this N, I would have been really, really chilling, but I have the wiggle room to not really. And Virizion's nice because it only attacks for 2 energy, so with a Yveltal with 2 here, I'm not really that worried about getting knocked out. And I'm ending him to 2 right now. He's only at 2 prizes. So drawing off of that 2 is not very good. Not having very high odds, especially of hitting a tool who's not really having a high chance of hitting Garb or energy. He really needs he needs to hit DCE, Muscle Band, Garbodor, and a laser. Okay, so there's 1, 4, 5, 6, 7. That's a 140. But that's the 2 cards, and then he ends. Okay, so he's having 2 here. If he hits the Wombo combo, he can definitely still knock out. He needs to get like Tool, Hypnotoxic Laser are the 2 cards that he needs. The odds that he hits that 1 of Tool that's in his deck, not so good. Very possible, but not very good at all. White Cycloning here is like fine. It's not really what you want because you know that the Virizion's not staying in the active if it gets hit. You also know that with 50 on there, all a Genesect needs energy and a Muscle Band, and then you're getting knocked out. And if you're Trevor at this board point, that's not really something that you. It goes for the Evo Ball. Hoping to hit probably the Night Spear KO because he knows I'm going to retreat it. So I mean that's the correct play, but depending on his hand, I mean, not having any energy, he's still too short on the Darkrai. There's not a ton you could do. Really wish he hit that Tool Laser sometime in that combo, but getting into 2, that's really rough. It's not a lot you can. turn ended too. And he hit some pretty good stuff. Like he hit a double colorless and he hit an N. So I mean, it could be worse. I've had worse. So yeah, I got the energy and the muscle band, which means I'm killing this Yveltal. That means the next turn, like I have 2 Roselias on the bench, so as soon as I'm able to hit some energy switches and some red signals, killing some mons. And even with this fresh Genesect inactive, like hitting 120 a turn is a lot, especially when, you know, now that Jirachi's at 50, if I even hit a red signal, I don't even need to hit a second energy red signal boost. I can just hit red signal Emerald Slash on the Jirachi for a knockout. You open yourself up to so many possible ways to win a game, depending on where your snipes are. Like that was just 2 snipes on a Jirachi, and all of a sudden I have a new out to potentially win the game because I placed those intentions. Yeah, knowing where you're putting your 20 snipes, sometimes it doesn't seem like a big deal, but the 20 snipes, they add up really quick. And so yeah, there's the red signal for that. Yeah, so that was Grizzly on Genesect versus Darkrai, Trevor Read versus I. Fun matchup. Probably one of my favorite ones from 2014 States. Yeah, thank you so much for tuning in. Let me know if you have any questions about the matchup. Leave in the comments, and I'll do my best to get back to them. Yeah, thanks so much for tuning in.